Are you not on? All right, bring those way back. These guys are loud. All right, let's go. Jump up real quick. First slide. Come on, Tanner. Tanner, you're in charge. First slide. Tanner. Just click on it. There you go. Tanner's learning soundboard today, or the clicks today, so he's all good.
OcYth High School Prom, June 24th, 6 to 9 p.m. Boys, and then girls can stay till 10.
I had somebody ask me for a sign-up sheet. Does any of the leaders know where their sign-up sheet's at? I don't see her. Emily will have them this week, she says. Okay, so we'll have to hunt out Emily. Got it. You're up. Go. They're right there in the back. Everybody's giggling. They did the high school like prom thing, and all the front row started giggling. They're like each other's date. Yeah, because they don't want to. They're scared to sign up. Oh man, because we're gonna know who you like when you do your +1. We'll be like, oh, so I see. All right, next one.
Chili Dog Cook-Off, June 23rd, 2023. It's at Otterbein Park. OcYth.
You have to sign up, though.
The judges after we cook that all day.
Yeah, so you have to sign up, though, because we need to know how much food to buy.
Who's back Wednesday, 6:45 to 8:15.
Right here? Yeah, we started the Wing Feather Saga.
High school girls Bible study, 6 to 7:30 on Monday. What is stressing you out? And then we'll look into the Bible to see what that says.
Yes.
Same time, the reading of Genesis, no school guys. Same time, Monday.
I think that's it, right? All right,
Game.
so we got a game. Higher
or lower?
I found a bunch of Sour Patch jelly beans. I think there's is it Sour Patch, I think? I forget what I got.
Yeah, there's Sour Patch.
There's Sour Patch jelly beans. So there you go. For the dub. All right. You don't want to give them 2 packs? Give them 2 packs. Let's go crazy today. Anybody shop Amazon? You guys shop Amazon? All right. So these are Amazon deals that I found as of 2 weeks ago. So I started on this game. These were deals that you could find 2 weeks ago. I can't guarantee you they're this deal now, but I found these amazing Amazon deals 2 weeks ago. All you have to do is choose, is the actual cost higher or lower than the cost I give you? It's that easy.
Higher will be my side. Lower will be Owen's side.
Hold on. Yeah, so let me
Stand up to play.
Clicker. There you go. So, pretty simple.
So, mini hand squirrel. Is it higher than 958 or lower than 958?
It is a real thing. It has almost 5,000 reviews. It has already.
Pretty creepy.
That's higher, that's lower.
So they got a question in the back. Higher or lower? Where are you at? Which side is which?
Higher.
You're higher.
Yeah.
He's lower. Okay. These are real items on Amazon. You can purchase them today on your parents' account. So, yeah, I gave you a price. Is it higher than that price, the actual price that I found it, higher or lower?
3, 2, 1. Lower.
It is lower. It was lower. Lower than that. You can buy it for $8 right now. You too can have a finger squirrel. It just sounds weird. All right, here's your next one.
I would buy that.
It is a mini. It is a mini. I think it's tabletop. It's one of those desktop ones.
That's perfect for working.
There is also 5,000 reviews on this thing. You know you want one. It is higher.
I'm still gonna buy it.
It is high.
Small baguette slippers.
There are not
Higher or
5,000
lower
rules.
than
I just used the same thing over and over again after that one. I cheated and used the same template.
I feel like if I would put my foot in there, I would expect a crunch.
It doesn't
3,
crunch. I don't know. I don't know.
2, 1.
It's higher.
Higher.
$10 for that bread, baby. $10 for that bread.
Rubber chicken first. $37. So nice. I found that in like a store.
It has 5,000 reviews too.
Now, I used the same template over and over again afterwards because I got bored and didn't want to cut and paste anymore. My fingers hurt after doing all that cutting and pasting.
Who would actually use that though?
I don't know. Can you
Besides Owen.
can you imagine how annoying that would be? You catch it under your arm and you're like, 3, 2, wait, we got to win. He's going for the win now. All right, 1. It is lower. Is that a winner? Or is he out? He's out. He's out. Okay.
Toilet timer.
The toilet timer.
Higher or lower than 1097?
So you guys are, all 3 of you are still in? Are you in? All right. All right.
Is that really what you want to see when you're timing something though?
3, 2, 1.
Higher.
All right, if you're still in, go to the front, please, so we can see you.
3 people left.
We got 3 left. The Zen Garden litter box. It's a desktop litter box. I like how you guys are like middle school guys are like planning this out.
One person going for the win.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1
Lower.
is lower. Just add water. You too can have this on Amazon today. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah.
Wouldn't they
But
be
that
wet,
would be
though?
in my cart. My wife would be like, "What? Wait, what? What is wrong with you, person?"
3, 2, 1.
We will have a winner. It is
Higher.
higher. Man, you waited through all those middle school leaders to win. All right, the last couple.
Garden gloves with claws. Lower.
It is lower.
Cat butt tissue holder.
You just
Higher or lower?
pull that tissue right on out. That is on Amazon.
Higher.
They want
That's not worth
$45. People pay it.
Crab silicone utensil rest.
It's pretty. I mean, yeah. They want $20 though. I think that was it. I think that's it.
Higher.
I think that's it. We did it. Should I do that one again? Should I find more stupid stuff and do that one again? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'll dig out some more things you didn't know that you needed that you now need. The cat butt tissue is my favorite one. Just, and you gotta blow your nose on it. It's just awkward. All right. You guys are ridiculous. All right, so just a reminder on the Sight and Sound, the forums, that is if I don't have your money, don't think you have a spot. So it is money, cash is king. So on that trip, if you turn in a form and there's no money with it, That does not guarantee you a spot. That's just a, hey, it's nice that you want to go, but we've already paid for the ticket. So money talks, the rest of y'all walks. So please. Also, secondly, so my wife's fam from Wilson College came into town this weekend. So we had like 8 families at our house. It was amazing. Half of them are still like over at my house right now. And there was a middle schooler. One of the families has a middle schooler girl, and they had to like go away to a dance, so they left early. But it was so much fun. Thank you for letting me play the Gen Z like lingo game, because I totally did that to her all weekend and was just talking like lingo, sus, bussin', like I did all of it. And it was so much fun because she was super cringe by the end. She's just like, I hate all those words. I'm not going to do this again. And so I was like, yes, I've ruined a child. So thank you for letting me play those games, because I totally just ruined a middle school girl. She left for the dance, and she's like, I'm just going to talk normal from now on. I'm like, yes. So thank you. That was my public service announcement. We'll get right into it. The Exodus, it is from the book of... Yes, oh yes, that's fantastic. You guys paid attention. We've been talking Exodus for the last 2 weeks. I understand the first week that I start a sermon series, and I'm given all the like basic information, that usually can be kind of a boring Sunday, because I'm giving you basic information. I'm setting the stage for where we're going, and you're like, I get that. I understand that. But now that you understand where we're going, last week we were able, so week 1 was the idea that there was no Bible back then. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, the books that Moses wrote hadn't been written. So how did the people of God before Noah, the Arky story, how did they know what to do? How do they know what their morals was? They knew they were created. The stories were passed down from creation, but they were coming up with their own moral laws. And what ends up happening with us as human beings when we come up with our own rules? If I let you guys have your own rules at the high school dance, would the dance be the same dance as the small group leaders who are developing the dance or not? Correct. Would it be completely appropriate if you totally chose? Okay, it would not. So when we are left to our own devices, it does not usually turn out the same way as if we follow a set of moral rules, right? So week 1, there was no Bible. So God was really upset. Got to Noah's Ark, and he's like, I'm sorry I even made all these people. So he wiped the earth of their treacherousness. It was so bad that God's like, I can't even handle it anymore. And so now we get to Moses. Remember the first week I set the scene. The Technicolor Dreamcoat. Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. He went down. He saved Egypt. His whole family moved down to Egypt. They were living there. You would think that you would remember the fact that you saved the entire country, right? You would think they'd tell like stories of him. No, the next Pharaoh literally didn't know him. And so they immediately, because they saw that the Israelites were what? Does anybody remember what they were good at? You can say it out loud. Making babies. There you go. Making babies. So they grew from Joseph's clan. What did God promise Jacob? That his descendants would be as big as, or as many as the stars in the sky. And they were really good at recreating. They were real happy people, I guess. So they made lots of people, and we'll talk about how many people that they made, that the Egyptians got so scared that they're like, listen, we just need to enslave them, because if not, they're going to be more than us, and fear enslaves people, and so we'll make them our slaves, and even though they get bigger than us, they're going to be under oppression, so they won't have the mentality to fight us and get their freedom. And so that's what they do. And so they didn't do really anything wrong. They just moved to the wrong area, and somebody got really jealous. So their plight was because of brokenness of somebody else's heart. We have that all the time. So we set that up in week 1. Week 2, last week. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Week 2. Tanner, I'm in charge. Was that you? I judge you. All right, so it wasn't Tanner. See, I'm not yelling at you now, Caitlin. It's Tanner's turn to get yelled at. So you're doing great, Tanner. Week 2, last week we talked, God's not at war with you, he's at war with your idols. You keep getting in the way. A lot of times the struggles in our lives is we put something in the place of God. We create idols of it. And then all of a sudden when it comes crashing down, we go, God hates me. I'm so mad at him. God, nah. And we get upset with God when in fact he wants to be your God and we've put something in that place. So God's like, I'm at war with your idols right now. And we looked at Pharaoh and all the idols. We looked at the fact that, one of the Egyptian gods was the Ra. We'll just pick that one. He was the sun god. And so what did God do? I'm the God over that God, and he blots out the sun. And he goes down the list of all these gods that Egypt had, and he's like, I'm better than him. Let my people go. I don't want to fight you, but I will show you that I'm God. Over and over and again. Finally, he gets to Pharaoh, and he's like, I'll just take away your next Pharaoh. I'll kill every eldest son, and then you'll let my people go. And finally goes, get out of here. I hate you all. Get out of here. And so that's where we find ourselves this week. Last week it was really important to remember, God's not at war with you. God doesn't hate you. God doesn't want you to be unhappy. He wants you to live a full life. But the problem is we put things in the way of God. We get in the way of that, and we get in the middle of the battle, and we feel hurt because of it, because God wants to be your God. And so this week I want to talk about the magnitude of the miracle, because when we hear the story of Moses, that great story, you guys all most of you know the story. We'll go through step by step, and I want you to, as we go along, visualize what you've always been taught. Maybe the books you read as a kid. I'll show you a couple pictures because I'm extremely visual. I'm a visual guy. So the magnitude of the miracle. So when you think of the Red Sea, and what comes to mind when Moses and the parting of the Red Sea? What comes to mind? Obviously the Red Sea. Like, what's part of the story? What happens? All right, give me something. You guys know? All right, so he parts the Red Sea. What's chasing after them? The Egyptians, the Egyptian army. So the Egyptian army is about 250,000 to 300,000 people strong. So this is a massive army coming after them. So think this city of Buffalo, an entire city chasing after them. And these are trained warriors. So they have 600 chariots with generals on them, plus all the people marching after them. So they have all these people coming. Does anybody, actually, do you guys, like as a kid, you guys remember this, like, okay, he parts the wave, and we'll just go past this, like, the walls are like, 10, 15 feet high. I've caught some waves that are bigger than that, so if I saw this, I'd bring my surfboard and be like, this would be amazing. And then you're like, oh, there's the other side. Like, we'll just get there. It's not a big deal. Let's cross it, right? This is kind of what we visualize when we see this, right? This is what's in our mind in children's stories. So let's step back and talk a little bit about this. For some reason my background didn't show up, but we'll just go with blank screen. That's fine. Let's set the real stage. So when they left Israel, because we need to understand the magnitude of God, because when we understand our problems and what God's capable of, it changes our perspective. The pillar of fire by night and the cloud of smoke by day. So literally what happened is they left, and God said, listen, I'm going to lead you. And so I'm going to create this pillar of fire. So just think a tornado of fire at night, so that they could march day and night. They needed to stop and pick up Joseph's bones. Joseph, Technicolor Dreamcoat. They're like, we're not even going to leave him here. We're going to go to the promised land. We're going to take him with us. And so they're led by literally a tornado of fire. And they're like, yeah, let's follow that. Because why not, right? So for multiple days, day and night, they're marching. And so they finally start to complain. What ends up happening is this tornado's happening, and they go, hey, man, there's no food out here. There's no water out here. We could have died in Egypt under their captivity. Why did we leave this? You're going to kill us out here in this desert while we follow this random tornado of fire. If I see a tornado of fire, I'm running away from it. I'm not running towards it. But they're like, okay, let's go. So they went. They got Joseph's bones. They started complaining. Again, I'm trying to set the scene for you guys of the magnitude of God's miracle and what he's capable of before you put him in the little box that we do. So they get Joseph's bones. They're following day and night. They're not only carrying, like, it's not like a backpack hike where we're like, oh, we're going to go 20 miles and it'll be great. They're carrying everything that they own. So they have carts. They just pillaged Egypt, so they took all like the rich stuff too. And so they're dragging it along. So they go west. Pharaoh's mad and wants his slaves back. They start seeing that they're now being hunted. And they start complaining again. They're like, Moses, why would you bring us out here? Like, we could have died happy in Egypt with food. Yeah, we had to work really hard, but it wasn't a big deal. It was a lifestyle. We could have died in Egypt. You're going to kill us at battle, and we're not even going to have a chance. We're going to get slaughtered. Why? And so remember, they brought not just them, they brought their kids, which means they would have all gotten slaughtered. You're going to kill our families. You're going to kill us all. And God's like, here's what I want you to do. Back yourselves up against the Red Sea and camp. Wait, you're going to let Pharaoh's army come at us? And we have no way to escape behind us because the Red Sea is about 100 and the section they went to is about 190 miles long. 190 miles long. So you're going to back us up against the sea. Pharaoh's army's coming at us, and all we got to protect us is a pillar of fire, which is still pretty cool if you think about it. Like, all of a sudden, that pillar of fire shifted in between the two of them. And God goes, why are you guys complaining? I would still be complaining too. Like, let's be honest. If you're in that situation, you're a little bit worried, right? Pharaoh's army that wants to murder you. Sea behind you, nowhere to go. 194, you can't run away from this. And a pillar of fire that's blocking you. And finally, God goes, listen, Moses, just raise your hands. Let's part this sea. And so God intentionally pins them against the Red Sea. Who can save them at this point? Can they save themselves? Sometimes our backs get against the wall and we look at how hopeless a situation can be. And God's like, listen, I have you right where I want you because I have something I want to show you so that you will believe in me in the situations which seem impossible. Now, the pillar of fire moves forward, blocking the Egyptian army so that they can make this escape. The sea splits, and God tells his people to go into the abyss in the darkness of night. So not only, then we don't have, it's like the ocean now where there's a bunch of light from like the hotels and stuff. They're in the darkness. The only thing they can see is this pillar of light. They're being blocked. And they're now supposed to go into the sea in the middle of the night. Who likes to go to the ocean at night? Like, it's kind of cool. You do the crabbing. Who wants to go? Who likes to go in the ocean in general? Some of you like it. Who hates it because you don't know what's swimming around you? Okay, you're like, Jaws is everywhere. All right, so now can you imagine God going, hey, I need you to go in the sea, and yeah, by the way, it's nighttime. Now, let me give you the magnitude of the miracle, because I think this is the part we don't conceptualize as we read this children's story as kids. Do you know how many people were in the so we know the Egyptians were about 250 to 300,000 warriors. Do you know how many people were in the people of Israel, the bandwagon that Jesus is leading, God's leading through the desert? Do we know how many people there are? 2 million. So the group of people that is God's chosen people, the Israelites, that have their back against the sea is 2 million people, women, children, kids, moms, dads, whatever you want to call them. They don't have any weapons. They have all of their possessions. They have all of their flocks as well that they took from the Egyptians. They have all of their animals. And they're backed up against the sea in a pillar of fire holding off 300,000 military men that want to end them. So, when we think of the opening of the sea, correct? We think of like, ooh, I can see the other side, let's get across really quick. If you look at the topographical map, which is the elevation and of how deep things are, how high things are, and also measure how wide, the narrowest point of the Red Sea, the narrowest point of the Red Sea that they would have crossed is 5 miles wide. The narrowest point that they could have crossed, if you look at it even through time, is about 5 miles wide, up to 19 miles wide in certain areas. The Red Sea also goes down. So we think, oh man, the wave is as tall as this building. That's super cool. The deepest, the shallowest deep part, so like if you're going down in, the lowest, I'm trying to explain that. Like if you go down in it, the lowest point that you can go down into before it goes way, way, way down is 130 meters. So they had to go down into this abyss with the walls up against them, at least 130 meters. The deepest part of the Dead Sea is almost 3,000 meters deep. So they had to go down into this crevasse in the darkness of night with an army chasing after them, and they had to figure out a way to convince 2 million people to do it. The magnitude of what God did that day. We look at it this little tiny, like, oh, we got a couple of thousand people across. It was real cute. The magnitude of the miracle that happened that day for God to split the sea, because it says they went in night, and by the time they came out and God closed it over the army and drowned the army, it happened morning. Which I used to run 5 miles as fast as I ever, or 3 miles, so a 5K. It's 5 kilometers across, or three and a half miles is the narrowest point. So down a crevasse, back up a crevasse, 3 miles, up to 19 miles. In that, they crossed. It took them all night. They get to the other side, and then God closes it in on the Egyptian army. Some of us in this room have a much too small perception of God and his capabilities. We look at that story, and we look at this real childish idea of what God can do, when in fact God can do pretty big things. It's just we've made God too small to fit our understanding and our capabilities. God parted a sea so that 2 million people could walk through with their animals. God drowned an entire army. They didn't have to lift a single spear. They didn't have to fight a little bit. And we go, well, is this story true? 200 million people, or 2 million people, saw the bodies of the Egyptian soldiers. It says it at the very end. That is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. And the Israelites saw the bodies of the Egyptians washing up on the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled in awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and his servant Moses. That's Exodus 13. 2 million people saw it. And we go, well, they got some writings on this. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. 2 million people saw it, and none of them denied the account of it. We write about it. It's in history books. It's in Muslim history books, the idea of this account. Like, it was seen, it was witnessed. The entire region knew about it. 300,000 men didn't come home to their women and children in Egypt. That is how the magnitude of this miracle that happened, that we read in this children's story of who Moses was and who God is in accordance to who Moses was. And some of us go, I don't know if God can take care of this thing happening in life. Put it in perspective of God's capabilities. I don't know if God really thinks of me and my future and what I want and how I'm growing. I don't think he listens to my prayers. I don't think that he's... Is it being filtered through the idea that God's at war with your idols? Is your prayers about you, yourself, your idol, the thing that you want, the thing that best helps you? Or is it about what God has in store for you, who he wants you to be, who he's creating to be? Because it's pretty good. And are we putting too small of a box on God's capabilities when we start praying to him? When I pray on Wednesday with my group, I even say, I really enjoy going to the throne room of God. Why? Because he's capable of this. And yet we, He's capable of raising himself from the dead. He's capable of raising Lazarus from the dead. He heals people. Like that's little. In retrospect, you put a little mud on somebody's eye and you make them see. You go, they do that at the doctor's office all the time, almost all the time. But they do it on a regular basis. They help people. Doctors cure people with medicine. There's a lot of stuff that happens. And we start negating what God's capable of. I encourage you to stop doing that. If you have faith, I wear the bracelet all the time. It's the one that somebody gave us when Selah got cancer. And on the back it says Matthew 21:21. It's where God says, hey, listen, if you call out with faith to that mountain to move into the sea, it will move in my name. If that's part of God's plan, if you're doing it for the glory of God, says, I want that to happen. I want you to see that only I can back the entire nation of my people up against an ocean with no hope, no idea of hope, no concept of getting out of this in the middle of the night, completely terrified, and I provided a way out. I can do that in your life too. We put far too many restraints on God in our prayer life. And we not just restraints, we also do it for ourselves. Remember, the Israelites spent so much time complaining. I want quail. I want this. You didn't give us enough of this. They complained. And then over the next 40 years, because they're going to wander the desert, because they're going to complain, they're going to create a golden calf. They're going to forget almost instantaneously about the fact that God did this amazing miracle. If I walk through a 5-mile stretch of land with ocean on the side or sea on the side of me, and it's in the middle of the night, God delivers me. Less than a couple of months later, they're going to start worshiping an Egyptian golden calf. How often do we forget how good God has been in our life too? Whether it's, hey, I had a really good game yesterday, and then we beat ourselves up because we didn't the next day. Or we're dating one person at one time, and they did something stupid, and you broke up, and you go, oh, maybe nobody's ever going to love me. You really think that's outside of the reach of who God is? Seriously. I don't want to say your problems are small, because that is not what I'm saying at all. Your problems are big problems to you. But please don't put our problems, our big problems, into the small boxes that we put God into. He can resolve those problems. He can bring you joy. He can bring you peace. He can bring you deliverance. He can bring you whatever you want, as long as we are focused on what God wants for us first, who God created us to be first. He's a good father, and he wants to give you good things. He wants to protect you. He wants you to see that he is the only way, truth, and life. You guys are in school, and the world's going to tell you, nah, man, your God's intolerant. You're a bigot. You're this. And he goes, listen, I keep delivering my people over and over again. And for those of us that believe, we see it day in and day out. We start seeing God in amazing and beautiful ways. We start seeing it through his actions and the things that he does that deliver us on a regular basis. Please don't put God in the small boxes that are our minds, because God is capable of infinitely more. And if you start really, truly believing that, you can start understanding the magnitude of what God's going to do in heaven. He had a day to save Israel, and he did something amazing. I'll imagine what he can do for eternity and all his creative power and his creative mind. Imagine what eternity is going to be like, and then realize that it's still too small of a box for what our God can do. And so, with that, we're going to finish the series next week. But I hope you guys can start wrapping your mind around the magnitude of who God is and the magnitude of the miracles that he did. So, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this teaching time together. I hope it really opened up some minds to the fact that you're a big God. You said, and the stars also, and created the universe. And yet we worry that you're not big enough to save, deliver us, build us, toughen us up a little bit when it comes to the ways of the world and sin. You're not able to deliver us through the hard times. You're not able to deliver us. We have those mentalities. God, I pray that you banish those out of the minds of every one of these students, that you are capable. You are filled with love. You are filled with goodness. You are filled with kindness. You want good for those that you are God. You are what we worship. You are what we put first. Your ideas for us are what we want to chase after. For those of us that find that, we see how big you are on a daily basis. And I pray these students figure that out as well. We ask this in Jesus' name. And all God's people said, amen. Small groups, if you don't know where you're going, please see me.